Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to play a short clip, man, by a very strong person of knowledge. Still a student of knowledge, but a person of knowledge. PhD, Sharia, fiqh, specialize in Shafi, fiqh. Real strong brother, right? So, this was something I said in a video a year and a half, close to 2 years ago. And I caught a little flack for it, right? I keep I even caught a little flack telling people in person, this is not a class, what I'm giving you. This is a dars. This is a lecture. This is not a class. Oh, no, it's a class to me, other people. But just something that he's finna break down. He's saying pretty much what I said. But he's not the only one. But he's speaking on it in terms that the same way I spoke on it. We need to figure out what's the difference so that we can further learn how we need to learn Islam. But it's some key things that he's going to say. And his name is Abdul Latif, for people who familiar with him. He been in Egypt very long time. He studied at Al-Azhar. He done completed. He's from Philly. But let me let y'all hear what the brother say. And I'm gonna play a little bit extra because it's something that he says that I want people to hear, and it's profound. Listen to what the brother say.
Right. So I came over, and to be honest, when I first came, I wasn't trying to get into Azhar, as you know. But I met some of the brothers that were there. I was really impressed with them and what it is that they learned. So I started going, just to listen in some of the lessons, and I realized that in a week's span of time, I learned more in that week than I had learned the whole time I had been Muslim, which was for years. And alhamdulillah.
That right there. That brother said, let me reiterate that. And this is what people need to understand when it comes to knowledge. And you have to understand, before he went to Egypt, he went to Saudi Arabia. Used to sponsor this school in Virginia, where they basically was prepping students so that they was prepping them and preparing them to come overseas to study, whether they came to Mecca, Medina, Jeddah, Riyadh, anywhere where they had some Islamic education, Egypt, Kuwait. They was preparing everybody. But after 9/11, it basically, they kind of, the United States kind of shut them down, basically. But he studied over there, where he learned his Arabic and got his Arabic strong. It was in Virginia. Him and another brother who I fooled with, Abu Hakim, they were some of the standout students over there in Virginia. But he says, even though he went to that school, he had been Muslims for years. When he went over there and was impressed with some students and went to go listen to the scholars, because he got some Arabic with him though, right? He learned more in 1 week than he had learned the whole time he was being Muslim. That's what real education do. That's what real education do. But you have to humble yourself to it. Because what happens is people start getting in real classrooms and real situations around scholars and be like, I was taught, Fulan said the favorite gang member or the favorite person we thought was a student, they said this, they said that, instead of listening and absorbing. But that just goes to show you the difference between real knowledge and just what everybody's talking about and a little self-reading. He learned more in 1 week than he had learned the whole entire time he had been Muslim, and he had been Muslim for years. Anybody who sit down and start to study and go through the rigmarole, That's something we know how profound that is, because I'm someone. It was a little different with me, but that's alhamdulillah, and that should give people some type of insight on real studying. But let me let them continue. Look what he says though.
Within that week, I decided I wanted to get in, and alhamdulillah, I got a lot of benefit from the university. May Allah Ta'ala, reward all of them greatly for all of that they're doing for the Ummah. Allahumma ameen.
So we won't go into the, mashallah, you finished and you, but a lot of us were taught when we became Muslim to seek knowledge, and that's not bad in and of itself. I guess the issue is understanding what that is and what that requires, and I wanted to discuss that a little bit before we get into a deeper discussion about it. So for those people who want to seek knowledge or think they want to seek knowledge, what does that require, and what is that? Aside from attending lectures and muhadarat and this type of thing, what is seeking knowledge exactly?
Seeking knowledge, I'd like to go as far as to say that seeking knowledge isn't really just listening to the muhadarat, and it's a lot more than that. It's like when we were learning in school. We weren't just going and listening to YouTube videos or listening to someone come and tell us about this, that, and other. We were actually learning those sciences, and we were learning about those things that are going to benefit us. It wasn't just about listening. Like I think we had spoke before about the difference between a lecture and a class and these seminars that people are putting on. With classes, you're getting the information that you're supposed to be getting, but they're also assessing whether or not you understand it before building on top of it. And not like a lot of us, we were taught to learn the religion. You just go sit in the masjid, you listen to the Jumu'ah khutbah, or you listen to the lecture, you get some information and you run with it. Because this is what's destroying our communities currently. Because people are taking, yes, it might be correct information, but they're misunderstanding it and they're building off of it. We have to understand that really learning, really trying to be a student of knowledge, you need a teacher to do it. And there's a difference between a teacher and a lecturer. This is why I always say that, words matter. We need to understand that difference between a lecture and a class.
Right.
We need to understand the difference between trying to be self-taught. Now, there's a point in time in which you can be self-taught, but that comes after that role of having a teacher.
Right.
Once you have a teacher is going to tell you, okay, well, listen, you understand this enough to go ahead and learn what you need to learn. And if you have anything that you're not understanding, come back and ask me. At that point in time, you can do self-learning.
Right.
But unfortunately, the people that are teaching us aren't telling us this. A lot of them is because, if we want to be honest, they didn't learn like that. The majority of them, they were self-taught. Or they were taught by listening to lectures and never being assessed to see did they understand.
Right.
And those people that did go out and they learned, they came back and they started teaching us in ways that they didn't learn. You have a lot of the brothers within these last few years that have graduated from university. They come back and they teach you, and they start teaching you with these lectures. When they got assessments, and then they teach you, they give you a lecture and they tell you, all right, well, go ahead and, now you go out and give some dawah. It's like, this isn't seeking knowledge. And we have to start explaining to the people that, listen, there's nothing wrong. I'm not downplaying what people are doing.
Right.
But we have to understand the difference between somebody that sought knowledge and somebody that got information. And until we start doing that, we're going to continue to find ourselves in the situations, in our families, in our communities, in these situations where nobody's really on anything. Everybody's just spewing whatever they want to spew out of their mouths.
Right. To get access to exclusive content. And
so, alhamdulillah, that brother he's speaking pure facts. I'm glad he did it. When I spoke on it about a year or two ago, year and a half ago, I caught a little flack because of a particular community. They don't like that type of stuff being said because they take it as belittling, because a lot of them are self-taught or taught by someone who's also self-taught. Now, let me break down what he's saying about where you could get to a point where you're self-taught. When you go through the education process, basically they get you to the goal is to get you to a point of independence. So they teach you basically how to become a researcher. You see what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily that you're self-teaching yourself the religion. You properly trained how to go get dalil, how to look at dalil, how to analyze dalil. And for people who've been watching me for a long time, when I used to get on the whiteboard and do what's called deep dives, right? When I would be asked a question or something, and I would go through, do the deep dives, go through the tafsirs, go through the hadith. You learn how to do that to where you become independent. So that's what he means by the self-taught part. But then when you get stuck to a point, or even still what you done did a deep dive on, still come get that knowledge checked. So that's what it means by self-taught, where you become a researcher, but it's after you had a teacher. Not like what has been going on, where people haven't been taught to properly research, but they think they have, but they don't know how to do a deep dive. It's just a whole lot. So, like he's saying, we need to understand what's the difference between a class, a lesson, because a lot of people watch YouTube videos and think that they're in a class, but your knowledge isn't being checked. Or like he said, some students come back and they're teaching with a lecture style. Now, some have groups, right? So let's say they're going to have the lecture or the dars live on YouTube, but you have to go through the group like Telegram, and they will have a paper. They will have something that you could download to your PDF, and then you could print it or keep it on your tablet, and then you'll know what the homework is and what the quizzes and stuff is going to be. But the regular person watching the YouTube won't know. So you can write your answers down, you could do your homework, and you could turn it in. Some have it that way. You know what I'm saying? So that is a form of a class, but the point is, man, you know, he's right. And there's a lot of confusion being caused and things that people is just doing. Like right here, sitting right over here, I got a book, The Effects of Fit, right? By Sheikh Abdul Razak, Abdul Muhsin al-Badr. Some people that take this book and never even read it and be on YouTube, they might even have a whole conference. We're going to teach you the book of the effects of fitting. And then, you know, they'll go into it and be like, well, we're going to give you a brief introduction or a short biography about the author. But you might not see the book that's sitting down there, but what's the first thing on there? Biography about the author. So then they'll go through it, or, you know what I'm saying, as they go through it, well, he was Sheikh Abdul Razak Abdul Muhsin al-Abad, right? He was here, he was born here. But they really just reading the book to you, right? Then they'll go through the first points, read a little bit of it. But this isn't teaching you the book. This isn't making sure you understand. They will read the book from you, and then some of them who have a little bit of knowledge, like when they use a hadith or if use a tafsir, they can a Quran ayat, they can expound on it and probably pull 3-4 other hadiths on the subject. Then they might be able to pull Imam Ahmed Hanbal position and Imam Shafi position on this subject matter with the hadith, and then use a tafsir. But they're expounding on it. Everybody can do that, but technically that won't be a class. And then you might be able to have a book yourself and read the book just like that straight through, and you might get a better understanding than the one that they pushing to you. You see, but that's what we have now. And then people think they could just take a book like this and think that they're teaching people something because they read them something from it. That's not classes. That's just not how knowledge is sought. It really isn't. Is there some benefit in it? Yes. Is there some harm in it? Yes, because you could make a mistake, or the person who's listening to it didn't understand it correctly, and then they go spread the mistakes. So it's a benefit, but it could be dangerous when it's in the hands of the wrong people. And then some people who want to be known so bad will turn you away from the people who can actually teach you the book, expound on the book, add to the book, and they'll take you away from the people who really had the proper education. You know, it's an unfortunate thing, but it's real talk. So like Abdul Latif, very sound brother, very decent brother. Right now I'm in a private group of his, and I'm going to pull it up. Right? And go to the community and show the leaderboards. It might not show because of this glare. That show right there. You see right there where it has leaderboards? Look who the leader is. The top student. Yasin Sunnah. But it's not like I'm the top student because I had the most knowledge. I participate more. And that's what I'm getting to, and that's what, a lot of people starting to get to. I'm heavy on the participation. Right? I do the work. You see, we've got to a stage of, like when I started studying Hanbali fiqh, right? From a credible person in Hanbali fiqh, right? Who studies fiqh, specializes in Hanbali fiqh, got a master's degree, working on a PhD. But, Daki, I also have a person who's higher up than him who I can gauge him against. Like if something don't sound right, if something don't seem right, and because I done went through different things, it's a whole lot that I don't, I know enough, a little bit enough to go at the, like, hey, wait a minute. But they still have to be like, calm down. We feel the same way you feel. But learn this because it teach you more and more how to look at evidence. You'll start to understand why there's differences and this and that. With some of it I know, but I don't like it. I'm going to quit saying that, but I don't like it. But anyway, when you go through these processes and you see the way that it goes, when I first signed up for Hanbali Fiqh, I'll say within the first 2 days, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 150 people, 175 people like the first 2 days. By the time the first semester was over with, we was down to like maybe 45 people. When we came into the second semester, it was like 27 of us, I think. And a lot of my classes start off that way because people so used to watching YouTube or different videos, then when they enter a real classroom and they have to do work. Class has classwork, homework, pop quizzes, tests, and exams and final exams. Okay? Some people, when it comes time to even just the classroom work, sometimes your classwork, they might group you up. And, y'all got 5-10 minutes to come together to solve some type of fiqh thing. You might be with your group. That breaks some people. Some of the homework, actually having to write your homework down, and some of these classes, they be friendly where you don't have to write everything in Arabic, where the whole class isn't taught in Arabic, but actually had to write out for homework. It break them. You know what I'm saying? Feeling like they already know all type of stuff because they watch the students of this and the students of that, and when they get in a real classroom, they find out that them brothers was wrong. They can't accept it. It break them. So, although you can watch a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube and listen to stuff on SoundCloud, it's taking the books out of the people's hands. People don't even want to read books. People don't even really want to participate when they sign up for classes. I done invited people to sit in with real scholars, where the scholar is talking to them. What's your name? Where you from? And they getting in for free. They doing the homework. And like sometimes when I have people, I get them in a class or something, and I'm talking about with a real scholar. And I tell them, whoever participate the most, whoever answer the most questions for the sheikh, well, whoever do the least has to buy dinner for the other one to have an uptick in their participation. Whoever get the most homework questions, whoever do the least, whoever missed the most answers, got to buy the other person dinner. You know what I'm saying? And we would do that, but then you had these, you had an opportunity, man. I'm talking about on more than one occasion. I get people where we sitting there with the sheikh, going over the sheikh lessons, doing the homework, the sheikh explaining it. We can ask questions, and he's breaking it down and he's expounding stuff, man, and they won't even show up for class, man. You know what I mean? And it be stuff like classes I done took, classes, that I got the okay to teach to certain people or grade their homework. And I still come to the classes to bring other people in just to watch how they gonna carry it. Like, look, man, y'all sitting with a real scholar right now. And then also to learn from the demeanor and the teaching style of the scholar, absorbing more and more. So I'm taking the time out. It don't matter if I'm at work. It don't matter if I'm whatever I'm doing. It's been times, man, where I've been in the grocery store and the class is getting ready to start live. I throw some headphones on and I'm walking around paying attention and figuring out how to participate even while I'm grocery shopping. And I done got people in, like several people, brothers and sisters, get them in there, they sitting with the shake, and they won't even come to class, man. They think they could just skip one, or they gonna skip 2 classes and then try to show up for one. All the way to the point where so many people that just start falling off and not really participating, won't have their homework done. And it be like me and a couple other people, we done already been through the class with them several times. We teach it. He'll just go ahead and cancel it on out. And that's what they getting to, man. A lot of people participation levels is dropping when it's time for real work. It's dropping when it's time for real work. So man, may Allah Azza wa Jal be with us and help us and encourage us. But I just wanted people to hear him say that. But he's not the only one. Other students and people of knowledge, they starting to say the same thing because they noticing this shift and they know what brought it about. Because while they was away studying, people who didn't have a real education started calling themselves educating the people, and they may have possibly did more harm than good. You know what I'm saying? Because let's put it this way. How many students have they produced? If you're a student of a knowledge, and this is something that people need to understand, learning Arabic don't make you a student of knowledge, because Arabic isn't a knowledge. It is an ilm. It's the key that you need to learn ilm. A student of knowledge is someone that has a science. Hadith, a student of hadith, a student of sharia, a student of usul, a student of fiqh. That's what ilm is. Learning Arabic and learn how to recite doesn't make you a student of knowledge. If I was learning Spanish so that I could read the Quran in Spanish, would that make me a student of knowledge? No. Because that isn't a knowledge. It's what you use so that you can learn the knowledge. So a lot of times when people be running around, oh, I'm over here with the students, you have to have enough wherewithal to you to say, student of what? Student of what? You see what I'm saying? Is it just Islamic studies? Something that falls under dawah? What's your science? Now you can say, okay, well, I'm a student of Arabic, but unless you learn it on a very high level, because on high levels you do need certain aspects of it, but we just have to be careful, man. We just have to be careful, because some of the main ones who said you got to be careful who you take your knowledge from taught people very sophisticatedly to not take knowledge from people that they should. To not take knowledge from people that they should. And we in a dilemma, man. But I ain't gonna drag it. But that's a good brother, man. Abdul Latif, man. I'm gonna post this video. I'm gonna post the rest of that video because he talk about a lot more. I just wanted to play that little short clip because, like I said, when I spoke on it like a year or two ago, I got a lot of flack from it. When I be out in the city and I may come from the weekend and try to do a little lesson or something, explain it, like, look, this is not a class, but they needed to be a class so that they could run around. Man, I was in class with the brother. No, you wasn't. Man, y'all was doing a class? Nah, we wasn't doing no class. Yeah, well, it's a class to me, because they need that stuff to big up like they're on a particular level. This ain't no class, man. It's not. It's barely a dars. It ain't a lecture, but but it's barely a dars. It's an introduction to get you to a point where you can sit in a classroom, where we can turn this into a class. But everybody want to make, they want to big up themselves. Oh, it is a class. No, you need to learn the difference. You know what I'm saying? You need to learn the difference, just like how he said, so that you can absorb. Because like I say, some people being taught and some people giving information. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes information isn't always understood. So, seeking knowledge, man, and understanding knowledge and just knowing how to learn and how to deal with tarbiyah, these are things, man, that people really need to know, man. Yeah. And like he said, this is what's plaguing our community. This is why we keep having the exact same issues and type of ordeals and stuff that we having. But let me do what I got to do, man. It's that time, man. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And may Allah be with us all. May Allah guide us all and help us through these hardships, man. I know it's starting to get difficult out there. Let's all just be careful, slow down, take a step back, start eating right, start hydrating our bodies right, start sleeping right, remove the clutters of your life. Just take a reset. Like how I said, man, when we were shorties, man, we knew sometimes you got to step away from an environment or environments and people and really take a deep look at everything. Because let's say this right here. If you in the streets, I always use that example because it's the environment I came up in. You know what I'm saying? And the streets go beyond the streets as far as mentality, right? So if you see somebody in the streets and they always fighting, they always arguing, they always super loud, it's a matter of time. Or they always in a robbery. Their name is always in something. Every day they caught up in something. That it's only a matter of time before they get locked up, before they get shot or killed, or they shoot or kill somebody. Because they don't have enough in here to take a step back and get up out of the environment to reassess what's going on. When you see people in friendships or relationships and they keep getting over on each other, they keep taking advantage of each other, they keep doing little stuff, stealing little stuff from each other, right? You know that it's only a matter of time before this friendship or this relationship is going to start to crack. Because they don't take a step back and say, let me reevaluate, let me pull myself out of this environment and change. It's hard to change while you're still in it, right? You had a job. Other people around you was getting promotions, but you don't get one. But you hang with the crowd that's super loud, that don't take their job serious. They lack luster. If you don't take a step back from that and really take a look and analyze, you're going to impair your own growth. You see what I'm saying? Hanging with the wrong people. Hanging with the wrong, some of the brothers. We hanging around the wrong type of females. To where it's only a matter of time. If we keep putting ourselves in these situations, we gonna cross the line. And then some of us, we not going to make Toba. Right? Sometimes, man, we have to learn how to take a step back. Let's say our health is bad. If we don't take a step back from the way we eating and the way that we drinking, drinking a lot of sodas, a lot of, just stuff that's not good for us. Chocolate milks, anything that's really not good for us. Eat hard liquors. We got to take a step back and give it up. So I'm saying all that to say, sometimes you need to take a time out. I need a time out, B. And sit back and sit back with yourself for a week. Raise your vibration. Watch different stuff on TV. Go to YouTube and watch a lot of Yakai. Some people call it Yaki Awaken, but his real name is Yakai. Go watch him where he talk about the body, where he talk about the herbs, where they talk about the people with parasites. Go watch something different. If you listening to a particular type of music, stop listening to that music for like a week. Change the frequency. Change how you eat. I'm gonna eat 85% raw. So this time, when I eat my steak, I'm going to eat it with some raw vegetables. But now you got to find some vegetables you like that's raw. You see? Green onions, some radishes, but at the same time, something that's beneficial. I'm going to fry me a little bit of chicken, or I'm going to bake me a little chicken, but I'm going to eat some vegetables that's raw. Just make a salad, don't put a lot of dressings on it. Generally, your salads is raw vegetables. Some bell peppers, some tomatoes, some cucumbers. I'm finna eat a lot of raw vegetables. I'm finna start eating a lot of raw fruit. Take a step back and really observe your life, your situations. What's hindering my Islam? You know what I'm saying? What's hindering my Islam? And it's a brother who watched my videos, man, and I seen him on social media. And I'm gonna say this: you either I misunderstood what you said. Matter of fact, I'm finna pull it up. I'm finna look at it. I'm not gonna show it who you are, but you know who you are. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna show who you are, but I'm finna look at your quote real quick, because this way of thinking, my brother, it might be a little dangerous. But I'm gonna read it, but I'm not gonna say who you are. And I don't see anybody who be on here, don't nobody know you. So you said, as distracted as I know I get with misunderstandings and my urges to be lazy, I truly see no reason to leave it all behind and dedicate myself to Islam. Brother, that's a dangerous way of thinking, man. That's a dangerous way of thinking. And I just want to tell you, man, that comes from the shaitan. And, from conversations that we done had, the little conversations we had, that little bit of thought process might have came from, feeling a little too good, brother. Feeling a little too good. That's a dangerous way to think. And once I see people start to hit that and start to think that way, in ways similar, they start spiraling. They start to spiral. Because Allah hear that. And then Allah gonna know what's really in a person's heart when they make these type of statements. Brother, that's dangerous, brother. That's dangerous, brother. You know, I'm gonna keep you in my du'as, man, and I'm rooting for you, but man, when you have those type of thoughts, man, try to wipe them out. You know? We need to sit back, man, and reassess our lives, man, and start to realign ourselves with Quran and Sunnah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.